Today on Golden Edge, look back, look ahead. Fleury returns to the place where he bloomed brightest, but was Marc-Andre's return all that it could be? Plus, after completing 5 of 6 straight road games, Vegas is still the toast of the West. But are the Golden Knights running out of gas? We'll cross-check those topics and more next on Golden Edge, look back, look ahead. Well, hello and welcome to Golden Edge, look back, look ahead, the show that is all Golden Knights, good, bad, and ugly. Obviously more good than ugly, and Tuesday night it was all good in terms of Marc-Andre Fleury's return to Pittsburgh and the wonderful show of appreciation from the Penguins organization, the fans, and the players. Ed Graney has a great piece on Fleury's impact, and after the game, Steve Karp and Ed Graney review Tuesday night's tribute.
Steve, emotional night, return of Marc-Andre Fleury to the place, the city where he won 3 Stanley Cup champions, Golden Knights on the short end of a 5-4 loss to the Penguins. What did you take from the night and the tribute they gave to Marc-Andre?
Well, I thought the Penguins did a fabulous job of the video presentation. The fans were certainly into it. Fleury, I thought, handled it great. Unfortunately, they had that lull in the second period where they stopped skating. The Penguins took full advantage. They're a really good team. They're going to make you pay if you make a mistake.
Just warm up, I think, skating around. There was a lot of people with jerseys and signs, and kind words, so it's a lot of goosebumps, all the emotional during that time. Yeah, it was good. I'm glad about everything. Wish we didn't win, and I'll get less goals, but just I can put behind and.
Just a great person. Obviously a great player, but great person. As you see, the city loves him. Guys love him. We certainly love him here. We're happy to have him. And like I said, we just should have had a better effort for him tonight. He played great again. He gives us a chance to win every single night. But it's pretty impressive what he meant to this team and what he did for this city. So good for him. And nice trip.
For all our coverage from here in Pittsburgh and beyond, ReviewJournal.com and the Golden Edge, it's Ed Graney and Steve Karp. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, time to bring in the second half of the two-headed monsters of the Golden Knights beat reporters, David Shane. And David, I guess, first off, what did you think of the tribute to Marc-Andre Fleury last night in Pittsburgh?
Well, I thought it was great. I mean, you saw how emotional it was for him. First thing he did was spray the water bottle on himself to, cover up any misty eyes or anything. But what do the kids say? Right in the feels, I think,
okay.
is the phrase. But me, I like the funny stuff, like the sense of humor. Yeah, well, no, that wasn't in the video, but the yellow coho pads that he had when he was a rookie, and you saw what a prankster he was, jumping out of the bag, and
that was pretty funny.
Stuff like that. It's just more so how beloved he is in Pittsburgh, and you saw the reception that he got, and all the signs in the pregame and things like that. You just saw how much people love him in Pittsburgh, and I think that's what came through more than anything.
I thought it was pretty cool. What about that old facial hair that he used to have?
Yeah. I always like how he's always got the hair going too,
Yeah.
It's got to be perfect.
It does have to be perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and look back at what the Golden Knights have done on this road trip. Of course, they've had 6 of the possible 10 points on this road trip. What stands out to you of this road trip?
Yeah, for me, I think the 2 games that probably would jump out the most are the Winnipeg game and the Washington game. I throw out the Wild game, the Minnesota game, just because, second game of back-to-back, and, they just didn't have legs, which is just going to happen sometimes during a season. It's kind of a schedule loss, I guess you might call it. But they bounced back in that Capitals game, and they played well in that Jets game. To go up there, that's a tough environment, tough arena to play in. They got a 3-2 overtime win, and if I remember right, that was the game that set the record for the expansion.
It was.
So those were the games. The Washington game, I think, and the Winnipeg game were the 2 telling games for me on that trip so far.
Absolutely. And how about the game at Winnipeg? Obviously going into that game, Winnipeg is a team in the Western Conference that is playing really well. And we knew that they were going to give them a good game, and the way that they won that game in overtime, it seems like time and time again, this team shows their resiliency on how they win games that are very, very close.
Yeah, that's kind of the trait that we've talked about all year. They've just been resilient. They found a way to, kind of never give up. And, if they have to tie a game, they seem to tie a game, and then they get to overtime. And, they've just been good 3-on-3 all year. So anytime you can go into that building and win, it's good psychologically for them if it comes to it down the road.
So the Golden Knights have played well, and the roadie is almost over. When we return, we'll look ahead to what the Knights have coming up, and if the Golden Knights are still the cream of the crop in their division. You're watching Golden Edge. Look back, look ahead.
Let's go be spontaneous. Let's go out of our comfort zone. Let's go make the most of it in the Toyota Corolla. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, welcome back to Golden Edge. Look back, look ahead. And of course, this is one half of the Golden Knights beat reporters. Is this the good head of the two-headed monster, right?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Oh, come on. You can go ahead. Steve's not here. All right, Dave, let's go ahead and look ahead to what the Golden Knights have coming up. Obviously, they're on game number 6 of their 6-game road trip, the one that's coming up. And, I mean, you know like I know just how tough this game is, or how tough do you think this game is coming up, the fact that they're flying all the way across the country. It's the last game of a road trip. And on top of all of that, they're playing against a team that's right behind them in the standings in the Pacific.
Yeah, all that. You know, I mean, again, it's kind of one of those games that you look at, you know, on the schedule and you go, ooh, tough. You know, just because of the way things set up, because of the cross-country flight, you know, you got a 3-hour time change and then all of a sudden you're playing a 7:30 game, you know, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just tough circumstances. I mean, not anything, you know, that NHL hockey players aren't used to. But it's still a difficult game, and obviously the Sharks are playing well. You know, Thornton is not there, but they've kind of figured out ways so far to win without him, and they're a team that's, you know, fighting for points and fighting for a playoff spot. So, you know, they're going to, you know, have everybody revved up in that building and ready to go. It's going to be a big game for them too.
And how telling, or in your opinion, are these games coming up? Like you said, the game with the time change and everything else, it's the last game of a road trip, but then they go ahead and they finally come back. And you know, like I know as well, your first game home after a long road trip is generally a game where there can be some layoff or some, it can be tough for a lot of teams after a road trip. I guess, what are your thoughts on the Flyers coming to town and a team also that's, you know, not playing, I mean, they're playing pretty well. I mean, they're decent right now as far as.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that's the thing more than anything is the Flyers are playing well. You know, Claude Giroux, Couturier, you know, they have weapons and things that when they put it together, you know, it's going to be a tough matchup. I think Couturier against, you know, the William Karlsson line, which is probably what we're going to see. That'll be an interesting matchup. Couturier is kind of a sulky candidate. It's all the circumstances kind of around it, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
You know, first game back on a road trip or after a road trip, things like that. But, you know, more than anything, again, it's the Flyers are a good team. They're going to see a lot of good teams on this homestand coming up.
Look at you. You're good at this television thing, because that's a segue into what I'm getting ready to ask you about. The fact that right after that, they start a 7-game homestand. How important is that? I mean, they play a lot of teams from their division on this homestand, the teams that are right behind them, you know, because they're 10 points, yeah, but that's going to be a pretty important homestand coming up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is where, you know, if I was going to look at it on the Knights, you can really make some headway. You can kind of, you know, put some distance between yourselves as a, you know, 7-game homestand where they've obviously played, you know, very well. So the division games and all of that, those become 4-point games. You win those 4-point games, and all of a sudden that gap, you know, that we're talking 8-10 points, man, that thing really jumps. So, you know, this is kind of the homestand where they can really kind of separate themselves, I think.
All right, well, let's go ahead and look at the standings as we have it as of right now. And what I wanted to say, David, is the fact in the Pacific Division, the Golden Knights have, you see it right there, they have a 10-point advantage over San Jose. It's the largest gap between any first and second place team in all of the divisions in the NHL. If the Golden Knights do well in this homestand, they can maybe put this to bed. We can say that. They can't say that, but I mean, maybe they can put this division to bed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still Dave the pessimist, so I'm
course,
never going to say it's totally over. But I mean, you know, depending on how well they do, yeah, I mean, they could put some serious distance and enough room where those other teams would have to play so well down the stretch, you know, and the Knights would have to collapse almost equally as badly. It would just be such a tough ask. But again, it's 7 games, and there's still, you know, another month of the season after that. You know, cross your fingers nobody gets hurt, and cross your fingers guys still are scoring and things like that, which they haven't shown any reason that, you know, those things wouldn't continue. So, you know, a lot changes, a lot fluctuates, you know, in a short period of time. But, you know, I mean, again, if we're talking about are the Knights going to collapse and miss the playoffs, I don't see that. I think they're just playing too well. I think they're too consistent with it. And, you know, they've just shown, you know, month after month, week after week, day after day, that they're a good team in this league, that we can't look at them as, the little expansion team that could anymore. I mean, just not fair to him. You know, it's kind of a backhanded compliment at this point.
It really is. Even though it's the truth, but it absolutely is a backhanded compliment. It will be interesting to see how the team does in the upcoming 7-game homestand. We already know how David Shane did in our Golden Edge look back, look ahead. Steve Karp, Ed Graney did a nice job as well. Thanks for coming in, David. Appreciate it. All right, folks, we will see you next time for Golden Edge. Look back, look ahead.